Hi guys, it's Sam here with Bargain.hunting.blonde, and today I'm here to talk about the much discussed Chanel price increase that is happening July 1st. So that is very, very soon after this video goes out. And yeah, it's just been kind of crazy. It's taken everyone by storm, and it's kind of shocking because of how much the alleged increase is. Of course, Chanel has not officially said anything, but I know, talking to my Chanel sales associates and talking to friends and their Chanel sales associates, that kind of, what we're seeing out is accurate. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the facts. Like I said, price increase July 1st. I have heard that the price increase is not only on handbags, but is also on ready-to-wear and shoes, and even potentially accessories. I don't know if that's true. What I have seen circulating is prices for handbags, I think, because those are going to be the biggest increase, and that's kind of the most shocking considering how many price increases we have seen from Chanel just since the pandemic started, and just how much the bags have gone up. So I have been seeing, and sorry, I keep looking down, I have it all written down, about an increase between 10 and 15%, and I think it is going to range depending on the bag. So let me read to you some of the different numbers, and I will put up on the screen what I'm reading from. This is a screenshot of something that has been circulating on Instagram and just kind of on the different forums discussing the increase. So classics, and I'm going to put the mini in here even though the mini is not a true classic. That is allegedly going from $4,000 to $440. The small classic flap is going from $6,200 to $7,100, so that's $900 right there. The medium is going from $6,800 to $7,800, so $1,000. The jumbo is going from $7,400 to $850, and then the maxi is going from $8,000 to $9,200. Though I have also seen like these prices be a little less, and the maxi was capping out at $9,000. I don't know which is true. Regardless, it is very, very expensive. And then one that I think is going to hit a lot of new buyers who are looking at buying a Chanel bag is the walk cost. So the classic walk is going to be from $2,650 to $2,950, and that's almost $3,000 for a walk. And if you guys have watched my videos, I am not a walk fan. They do not work for me. They're way too small. But I think that's really going to hurt a lot of entry-level Chanel buyers, which I'll discuss in a bit about all of the different type of buyers Chanel wants. But I definitely think that the price increase this time is going to hit a lot of people who like to buy Chanel. Will it stop them? Who knows? But those are the facts. Also, I found this very interesting. So I was doing some digging because I was trying to think, like, what were the prices when I started kind of looking at luxury and really loving luxury? And I'm not going to talk about when I was like 18 and saving up to buy Louis Vuitton, because at that point Louis Vuitton was very reasonable compared to Chanel even then, and so like Chanel was not on my radar. But around 2008, 2009, I was really into fashion. I was just a junior, senior in high school, so I started looking at them a little more, but I wasn't really into them. So like I would have never bought them at this price point, but because I, again, like wasn't really looking at them. In 2008, the medium large classic flap, which I refer to most of the time as the medium classic flap, in caviar was $2,350, and in lambskin was $2,495. So that was still in the time when the different materials had different prices, and the lambskin was more than the caviar, which is no longer the case. Just think about that, right? Say, let's take the more expensive one. Let's take the caviar, the lambskin, round it up to $2,500, and that bag is now going to be $7,800. $5,300 difference since 2008. That's like absolutely crazy. If you bought one in 2008, you are making bank if you decide to sell your bag, even if you have really worn it. So definitely why people like to call handbags investments. I personally don't think they're investments. They're wardrobe investments, as in you can wear them with many things in your closet, but I would not encourage you to buy a handbag over like stock or like gold or something. But regardless, okay. So next is why. Obviously, again, Chanel hasn't officially released they're doing this, so we don't officially know why, but I have some theories. Number one is they did have an 18% profit decrease in the pandemic time, so in the 2020 year, And I think for them, that is not acceptable. For most companies, having a decrease in profit is not acceptable, regardless of what is going on in the world. And they are thinking that they need to increase their profits. I know that Chanel is a little more unique than some of the other fashion houses like LVMH. I'm not exactly sure how their investor structure works. I believe they are still somewhat privately owned, though they do release their financials, which makes me think they're not as privately owned as, say, Hermes, who doesn't release their financials because they don't have to. So regardless, any type of business does not want to see a decrease in profit. So I think that's number one. Number two is this idea of an ideal customer. And I know some people dismiss this, but I think this is more truthful than we think. I think that Chanel, and we've even seen this with Louis Vuitton, but Chanel does not want to be seen as entry level at all. They do not want to be attracting the customer who needs to save up to buy a bag, which, let's be honest, is almost all of us unless you're very, very wealthy. And you know, they don't want someone who's like, oh, I'm gonna, budget so I can get this bag. No, they want someone who can just go into the store and drop a bunch of money and not worry about it. And their ideal customer is not the person who works and then is saving, or is maybe like, oh, I really want to buy a classic flap, so I'm gonna sell some of my other bags I don't use as much. Like, they don't want that customer. They just want someone who goes in, buys it, doesn't worry about it. I also think third is what I'm calling the Hermes Effect. As we all know, Chanel wants to be Hermes in the sense that they want to be exclusive. They want to have pieces that are hard to get. They want people who really lust after the pieces. They don't want people having tons of them. They really want to be exclusive, and they want to be also at that price point as Hermes. And they are really, really getting there really quickly, especially with that maxi classic flap price. They just want to have that same loyalty and that same clientele who is willing to buy a bunch of different types of Hermes pieces, not just handbags. And they want to be Hermes. So I think 3, and very rightfully so, is the Hermes Effect. And then 4 is the price increase FOMO. So I think that Chanel could just raise their prices on these bags to where they want them to be. Say they're like, there's going to be a giant increase. These bags are actually, worth $50,000 or $25,000. So, some really expensive increase, and that's it. And they just leave them at that price point. They're like, we only make a couple, and they kind of do the Hermes thing. But they don't want to do that because they like the panic buying. They want people to rush out and be like, oh my gosh, this bag is going up $1,000. I need this bag. I don't want to pay $1,000 more. Let me see what I can find. And then people are going to end up with bags they don't necessarily really want, with bags that they're accepting that quality isn't as good, which, at this point, we're all kind of accepting Chanel pieces that aren't perfect quality. We're not talking some of the Louis Vuitton quality I have seen in my videos, if you guys have watched those. But they're not 100% pristine like you are when you're looking at a Hermes piece. For me, when I'm buying an Hermes bag or piece, I do somewhat look it over, but I don't really look it over because I know it's good quality, because in order for it to be offered to me, it has gone through Hermes quality check, and I have not looked at quite a lot of their bags and have not seen a bag that was obviously flawed like I have seen with Chanel or Louis Vuitton. And like I said, I'm someone who is willing to accept slight flaws. So I know other people aren't, and I totally get what they aren't because they're spending a lot of money. But for me, it is a bag, and it is made, depending on who is making it, somewhat by hand. So, there's going to be some human error in there as well. But back to the FOMO. So it's encouraging people to buy pieces they didn't necessarily want, pieces that aren't maybe as good of quality, and is encouraging people to maybe buy bags that they weren't planning on buying yet because they don't want to have to pay that $1,000 more. And Chanel loves that frenzy buying. It kind of clears out their stores for them, and then they can bring in new pieces and make people buy them all over again. They love that. That's why they do the increases in chunks. Like I said, they could do it all at once. When they were seeing that their profits were down last year, they could come and be like, you know what, we need to make up for that. That November price increase could have been $2,000, $3,000, but they didn't, because they want to encourage people to accept the prices, number one, because they're like, oh, well, this bag is going to be $7,800, so $6,800 is so much of a better price. And 2, they want to encourage people to buy quickly and buy because they're worried they're not going to be able to get the bag when it goes up in price. So I think that's number 4. And then number 5 is they don't really care about us. People are still going to buy the bags. I will say at this moment that I do have a small wish list, but it is bags that are not really being affected, / shoes that are not really being crazily affected by this price increase. I don't foresee any, medium flaps or jumbos coming my way from the boutique. I did pre-order one that I'm still waiting on, but like after this price increase, maybe there'll be another color. I won't say never, but why they don't really care. People are going to keep buying it. Say I'm not going to buy it. Some of you out there are going to buy it. That doesn't matter. There's going to be, a line of 100 other people who still want to buy it. So they don't care. Like, yeah, a lot of us are shocked. A lot of people are, have been getting priced out of the market as these increases keep happening, but it doesn't matter because they still have buyers. So they don't really care. And lastly, so this is 6, I believe that they want people to be buying less of their products / they think that by doing this increase, they're going to be able to phase out a little bit of the resellers. So as a reseller, in order to make money, you need to be selling your bag for more than it costs at retail, and especially for paying tax, retail plus tax. So you're going to have to bump up your prices even more. So say retail now for the medium flap is $7,800, and then tax on top of that, you're going to be, needing to at least make $100 over retail plus tax to make it worth your while, right? So your prices are going to have to go up. And so I think that will encourage them, potentially, maybe, to be buying less pieces because they are more expensive. And I think in general, because of the caps on how many pieces you can buy every couple of months, they are just trying to encourage people to consume less. But as we know, those caps don't apply to VIPs and like VVIPs. So it's only really affecting, again, the consumer that they didn't necessarily want, the person who has to save up to buy something. So I think Chanel has many reasons for doing it. I'm sure there's others I haven't even thought of. If you have more, please let me know down below. I love chatting with you guys about this stuff. But I just think that they really want to be something that they currently aren't. And I think Louis Vuitton suffers from this as well. But Chanel is just kind of ignoring the customers, like, don't really care, gonna keep raising prices. Some of you are gonna keep buying it, so not my issue. And that's kind of how I see Chanel. So my thoughts on this increase, which you've kind of gotten sprinkled throughout. But number one, I think the price increase is insane if it's about $1,000. For me, when I think about this, I think, has people's wages gone up that much? No, they haven't. Has, if anything, a lot of people have lost their jobs during COVID, or families have struggled, people were furloughed. So especially the timing of the increase seems really, really poor. Not quite as bad as some of the other ones when we were like very, very heavily in lockdown, because I know a lot of people have started really to go back to work, or a lot of industries have opened up that weren't. But I do think that the increase is bad timing, and it just really doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a lot of consumers of their brand and who buy their products. 2 is driving out customers and consumers who want to buy your product a good idea. I know that they have an ideal customer, but don't you think you also still want to grab some of that lower market so that you can also be making money from them? I understand that you are making more profit off of a classic medium flap at $7,800 than a walk that's almost $3,000, but you're still making money either way. And once you get them in and get your claws in them, they kind of become hooked and want more. At least that's how I am. Like, my husband always laughs at me because I'll be like, I just need this one bag. And he's like, Sam, you're going to buy this one and then you're going to want something else, which is always true. I do always find something else that I want. I mean, shopping is definitely / collecting, as I like to say, it is definitely a hobby for me. But, it's a great way to get someone in, is to get them to buy those lower end pieces and then work them up to those higher end pieces. Because like I said, you only have so much of a market that can walk in and just drop 50K and like not even blink. So I don't know if it's the best idea to like be driving out a certain price point and certain consumers. But again, not the ideal clientele Chanel wants. 3, to me, is quality does not justify the cost increase. So you used to have these, and I have a ton of vintage flaps. I love them. The leather on them is beautiful. The gold-plated hardware is beautiful. They wear beautifully. I actually like the look of a slightly worn bag. I don't like, crazy like oil spills all over it, but I like a slightly worn bag because it's like very Parisian to me. Like, Parisian people buy one bag and then just like use it to death. And it has a story behind it. But you are now getting pieces from the Chanel boutique that are just not the quality you would expect them to be. And like I said, I'm not super picky, so like I will forgive a couple little things here and there. But for example, I had a friend who got a bag that the flap was completely and totally crooked. Like you can see that with your naked eye, and that is not okay. Or like a bag that doesn't sit flat, and I understand like reissues don't necessarily sit flat, but I'm talking like a classic flap that like doesn't sit flat, or something, you know, a vanity bag where the back of the bag is crooked. Like, you know, they have a square on the back of them and it is literally off to the side and your naked eye can see it. Like that is not okay. I'm actually okay with a little bit of, you know, like some creasing in the leather. That's not a big deal to me. You know, some things don't totally line up. Not a big deal to me. You know, stuff like that doesn't bother me. But the other things, the really evident things, are just not okay. These bags are really expensive. And even if something as little as, you know, something not being lined up would bother you, that's totally okay because you're spending your own money. And if it bothers you, it bothers you. And it's a lot of money. So you should say something about it. The unfortunate thing with Chanel, especially with how things have been going, even though they don't pre-order anymore, spoiler alert, they pre-order everything, is that you pre-order and if it is damaged, you cannot get another one. It's like, it's impossible because they've already sold everything that they made and they have actually oversold and there's a wait list. So the bag you return, someone else will get. And I think that's kind of unfortunate, but Louis Vuitton does the same thing. It is what it is. And as I have talked about, people are going to keep buying. Like we can sit here and say like, why would you keep buying at this price point? People are going to want the bag and they're going to buy it. Some people haven't been able to get into the luxury market previously. And so this is the prices that they're going to see and they're going to save up for and buy. Like it's just going to happen. And it's just kind of one of those things where no matter what we say, someone is going to want that bag and is going to buy it and they're going to keep raising prices. I kind of wish they would just raise them all at once and be done with it and we would know, got to save up $20,000 to buy this bag, which would be crazy. And I would definitely not be buying a Chanel at $20,000. But, you know, like, let's just say they did that. We would know, right? But they want the FOMO buying. They want you to panic buy. They want you to make those snap decisions on something that's really expensive that maybe you shouldn't have. So I think we're going to keep seeing people buying and we're going to keep seeing price increases. I'm interested to see what fashion house is next. I think it's going to be LVMH, like their, you know, whole repertoire. So I think we're going to see Louis Vuitton. I think we're going to see Dior. We're just going to see them all having their lovely price increases. You know, and it's interesting to me because like you're pricing a lot of people out of the market and, you know, it doesn't matter if you're the person who saves up a lot, you know, saving up, not buying coffee and your coffee money, or you're the person who just like budgets for luxury goods. Like either way, you're starting to get priced out of the market. So very interesting. And lastly, what am I still eyeing even though there's a price increase? So I do have a couple shoes that I love. I really want the classic slingbacks in the beige and black, in the flats or the heels or both. I have not picked those up yet, but I do eventually want to get those. I would love a pair of tweed ballerinas and I would like a pair of loafers. I'm just not sure which pair of loafers. Those would definitely be work shoes for me. Same with the ballerinas. Actually, all of those are work shoes for me. But yeah, because they can be worn with suits and with jeans because I do both. If I'm in court, I obviously need to be wearing a suit, but day-to-day work, going into clients' offices and stuff, we're encouraged not to wear suits, so we would be wearing jeans with those. And then handbag-wise, I would love a vintage classic flap in a red. I'm not super picky on small or medium, but one of those two sizes. And then new, I would like a mini reissue. Just have not found the combo yet. I know I would pay more for that. And then I would love a XXL small travel flap. I think those are so cute. I love big bags. I love those big flaps. But I don't think the mini reissue will be like hit as hard as I told you guys with the mini price. I think it's going to be like $400, which is much better than the $1,000 price increase on the medium. And then the travel flap is a seasonal piece, so I'm not sure how much the increase will be on that. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, unless I find a color that like I really, really need, like it would have to be like really, really need, and I don't really need a color medium or small flap in my collection anymore, then maybe I would go for it at that price, but like that's really pushing it. I think I'm just going to stick with Hermes. But let me know down below what you guys think about this price increase. Would you like it to just be one giant increase? Do you like these small increases so you can try to like stock up on what you're looking for? Why do you think they're doing it? Like what have you guys heard? What rumors? I'd love to talk with you guys down below in the comments. If you're not comfortable talking in the comments, please feel free to DM me on Instagram. If you like these sort of videos, please make sure to hit my subscribe button down below and the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video, just twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. If you want to see how I style my bags or quick reveals, sometimes I do reveal things on there, on like Instagram before I do on YouTube. Please make sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, my blog, all of which are linked down below. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.